And away we go. It is orange and blue today. Cecil Lammy, Andrew Mason, NFL owners meetings. That means, Mace, you got to have breakfast with Sean Payton.
I mean, I guess you can call it that. I didn't actually have any food there.
They didn't have the setup for you? They didn't have waffles or whatever like last year?
Well, they have food. It's just in the other room. I mean, it's no longer really breaking bread with the coach. The coach sits down. The coach has had breakfast at some other point. And in fact, the breakfast station for the media was in the media room, and there was a press conference room between where they did the media availability and the media and where the breakfast was. So, I'm not really sure they should call it the coach's breakfast anymore. I think they should just call it early morning availability, because it was at 7:45 in the morning Eastern time, which, by the way, Denver media is truly insane, because if you did not get there by 6:46 Eastern time, 59 minutes before, you didn't have a good position for your camera, or you didn't have a seat at the table. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. I think they learned from us last year. Mace down there in Florida. And did we learn what Sean Payton is looking for in a running back? Running back was a large part of the conversation, Mace, but you're there, boots on the ground. Give us the feel, give us the vibe, and what you thought about Payton's comment.
A different vibe than last year. I mean, and a different vibe than 2 years ago as well. I mean, 2 years ago, Sean Payton came to this event and definitely had a prickly air about him, as prickly as the cacti in Arizona that surrounded the venue where it was that year, the Arizona Biltmore. Remember that year? That was the year of the too many lattes, as it were, in the conversation that he had with Jared Bell of USA Today, where he basically took a blowtorch to everything about what Nathaniel Hackett did. And very much the tone of it was almost like the guy before me didn't know what the hell he was doing. Didn't use those words, but that was the tone. That was definitely the vibe. That I came in here and I basically got this dumpster fire that, I'm looking around here like, what in the Sam Hill was going on? And then last year, it was all about quarterback. And he had to come in here knowing that they were going to get their answer in the draft, but not wanting to reveal his hand. So, of course, there was the J.J. McCarthy misdirection, even though just days earlier he'd become smitten with Bo Nix. It's a different vibe now. I mean, this entire offseason is different. See, this offseason, it's a normal offseason. The Broncos had a pretty normal amount of cap space. They have a pretty normal draft complement. They're not dealing with a significant deficit in either draft capital or cap space. So a very different vibe, a roster that by and large is set. So definitely a more relaxed Sean Payton today, if he's ever relaxed. Definitely Sean Payton, I think, in a really good place. Sean Payton, not really philosophical, but just in a good spot. Pretty, I wouldn't say satisfied. I don't think Sean Payton's ever satisfied, but thinking that they've taken care of the things they need to take care of, and the thing they haven't taken care of, they're going to be able to handle next month in the NFL draft, because as George Payton pointed out, as you and I have discussed, where this draft is strong dovetails really nicely with the areas the Broncos have to address, starting with running back. So, it's one of those things, sometimes you like to say, hey, I'm in a good place. Sean Payton's in a good place, and the Broncos are in a good place. And so that leads to a very nice vibe here on the shore of the Atlantic Ocean.
Healthy as they look towards the NFL draft in about 3 weeks. Payton talked about not searching for a quarterback. Love this vibe from what the coach said here.
I appreciate not being in that quarterback market. You know, it's difficult. We were talking last night, George and Greg. You know, obviously there's a lot of pressure to get that right. And when you don't have it right, you know, it's one of those positions where it can kind of consume you as an organization. And fortunately, you know, a year ago this time we were able to do that. So, yeah, 20, we're just getting into the heart of the meetings now. So the mocks or what have you would be stuff we'll throw into a computer.
Yeah, and you can sense it, Mace. They're not on the quarterback search. They are just on the let's build a football team plan.
Yeah. Let's get it right. Let's get the right people in here. I think some of that was focused on obviously looking at the players they brought in, the big three of free agency, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Evan Engram. I asked him specifically about Hufanga. I want to get into that tomorrow because the question I asked him about Hufanga, it was framed this way. What did he bring that was missing? Because, you know, with Dre Greenlaw, it's obvious because inside linebacker, once you saw Alex Singleton go down, you're missing something personnel-wise. You had somebody who was a backup who had to come in and start. And certainly Cody Barton, you know, he had to come in. He was battling for a job last year in training camp with Jonas Griffith. And Griffith got cut and didn't play anywhere last year. So that kind of tells you how kind of fringy Cody Barton was. And he did land with the Titans in free agency, but you're not exactly talking about somebody who was at the top end of the deck, right? So that was an area where you felt like he'd get better. PJ Locke had some moments as a starter last year. PJ Locke was an upgrade on Kareem Jackson, but they thought he was replaceable. So that's, I think, something worth getting into. What Sean Payton thought was missing at safety that Hufanga brings. I mean, I think that's an entire show that we could get into. Kind of came back to the leadership as well. Like I think he sees Hufanga as somebody who can be a team captain. Pretty strong. He gave it, some pretty strong words about Hufanga.
Yeah, the kind of interview went to Dre Greenlaw, to Hufanga. That's on tomorrow's show, along with some George Payton, Greg Penner, Damani Leach stuff a little bit later in this show. But to the running back, it's the great debate of what's a Sean Payton running back. If I just ask you that question, Mace, because I have my answers, I'm emotional and opinionated. But what do you think is a Sean Payton back?
It's hard to classify because there's been some different backs. We talk about the Joker back, but he had a lot of success with Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram's not a joker. Mark Ingram's a pounder. George Payton talks about different flavors of running backs. I think Sean Payton running backs are different flavors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the answer he gave when I asked him about running back traits, and I asked him as a former running back coach, what are the traits you look for? Because of, you and I like to talk about him coaching Marshall Faulk back in the day. Of course, and he was a running backs coach at Indiana State as well, going even further back than San Diego State. He was a Sycamore. I just like that nickname, Sycamores.
Okay.
You know who else was a Sycamore? Legendary Broncos running backs coach Bobby Turner for a long time as well.
Very good.
Indiana State Sycamore. So it was in in that framing, Sean Payton is an old running backs coach, that I asked him about the traits he's looking for. And the traits he's looking for really tell you that a Sean Payton running back comes in a lot of different flavors, as you'll hear here, in what is a very expansive answer that he gave to me this morning.
There are different types of runners. Sometimes we'll refer to a runner as a 3-down player or a 2-down player. Does this guy have good receiving skills? Can he block pressure? As far as the makeup traits or the physical characteristics, it's the one position where height is really not discussed. Short or small is discussed, and there's a difference. So they've got to have a lower body. In this draft, I've seen a number of these players that I feel are first and second down runners, and I feel like I've seen a number of players that can potentially play on third down. It's just what you're looking for. But I think ball security, you're looking for. Some backs make positive yards most of the time, and that's a trait that I think it's a feel. In other words, and some backs don't have the same vision as others, meaning they'll take a negative play. And look, make no mistake about it, we're wanting to see our group at home, get these opportunities now, and so that competition I think will help.
That's what they're looking for, Mace. Competition, name of the game at the running back position. And he says 3-down player. There's some of their 2-down players. I thought one of the most interesting things he talked about was the short or small being discussed.
To me, and the reason you see my eyebrows arching is when he talks about he wants to see the group at home get opportunities. So he's not shutting the door on Tyler Bidet, Audric Estime, and Blake Watson. So the question I have to you is, where do they fit in, and which one has the best chance of being perhaps a part, and Jaleel McLaughlin as well, which one has the best chance of being part of a partnership? I think you and I agree with Jaleel McLaughlin. He probably ends up as that running back 3, that change of pace, 3 to 6 touch a game guy. But if you've got one who's part of a partnership, which one of those 3 has the best? Those other 3 has the best chance.
Well, McLaughlin's the only guy I would put in kind of Sharpie, maybe ball pen, not Sharpie. And I don't want to be the Blake Watson guy, but I'm the Blake Watson guy. I think you're kind of the Blake Watson guy too. We're the Blake Watson show, everybody. But if we mention 3-down player, he's not small in stature. He's compact. He's a converted receiver. Earlier this year, Sean Payton had said at the combine, I believe, I want an elite receiver that plays running back or tight end. Blake Watson is that. So if we say Jaleel's the number 3, and then there's someone working in tandem with the rookie, Omarion Hampton, Blake Watson sounds like a pretty good combination to me.
Yeah. It's hard to answer the question until you know what running back they get out of the draft.
Yeah.
Because, and George Payton did say, hey, they're getting a running back. So, I mean, not that there's really any doubt, but they are getting a running back with one of their draft picks.
Yes.
And I think we'd all be shocked if that running back doesn't come on day 1 or day 2. I know our friend Chad Ryder had the mock draft where the running back doesn't come until the 4th round with Cam Scatterboot, but I think that running back is coming before then. But let's say the running back is a Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Now, a Caleb Johnson, Blake Watson tandem where Watson is a joker back and Caleb Johnson is your first and second down back. That's something that Like those two skill sets go hand in hand. Now, if we start talking about drafting a joker back and you have first and second down back, then all of a sudden the first and second down back, the most likely kind of power back in there, big, burly, beefy power back that you have coming back is Audric Estime, although certainly Tyler Bidet could be in that mix as well. Showed some sparks, certainly, but obviously missed some time due to injury. If you drafted, say, a Brashard Smith, then the incumbent running back that could be in the mix more tilts back to Bidet or Estime. So, I mean, it really kind of depends who you get. Now, I mean, we know Brashard Smith was on their radar of running backs they were talking to at the combine with a formal interview. And we know from what Brashard Smith said that the conversation about a potential role was as a joker. And we also know from what Sean Payton was saying about ways to help Bo Nix. It was a very fascinating answer Sean Payton gave about when he was asked about steps he wanted Bo Nix to take in year 2. The answer was about the guys around him. It wasn't about like Bo Nix himself improving. It was improving the players around him in that interior triangle of tight end, pass catching running back, and third wide receiver. Well, you've got tight end and Evan Engram, but you're still working on pass catching running back, and you may still be working on third wide receiver, right? So to be continued. You're still trying to cross things off the list here. That was a very fascinating answer, I thought.
I love the triangle talk. We'll have to break that down on a different show this week because we have so much to get to from just today. May, super quick though, I do want to ask you, how does fumbles play into this? Ian Hartitz had this out about touches compared to fumble numbers. Of course, Ian's with My Fantasy Life, Matthew Berry's company. And I just thought it was awesome because Brashard Smith had 361 touches, but 7 fumbles. A guy like Devin Neal, the only one on this list that had more touches than Ashton Jeanty, 830 for Ashton Jeanty with 12 fumbles. Devin Neal had 838 with 5 fumbles. But as I look at the smaller backs, Brashard Smith with the 7 fumbles. I look at Bashal Tootin, the Virginia Tech kid, 10 fumbles. I even look at, who's the other one? Oh, Jaden Blue, 270 touches, 9 fumbles. How does that factor in your eyes? If they are going to get a smaller guy, the small guys that they may have shown interest in fumble a lot.
It's a data point. What was Audric Estime's fumble rate in college?
I'd have to go back and look at that. It's something that did crop up in the pros. What was that? A preseason fumble, right? And then 2 in the regular season.
Yes.
Yeah, can't forget the preseason one. That's the one that kind of started it all. And then he fumbled and he had to carry around the ball for a week. And I do not believe he fumbled after that, Mace. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like he fixed the glitch. Of course, the problem with Audric Estime is he didn't really get the touches that you'd want to see to really test if that ball security was fixed or not with the 5th round pick.
I mean, that's the thing, because sometimes, I mean, you have fumbles and what you see in college ends up carrying over, but sometimes it's something you don't learn until you get to the next level. You're like,
you learn the pressure points.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I've got, well, that's his pro stats here. It's always riveting when we do some stat diving here as we do a live show. Well, that gummit ESPN, shoot, not on there. Have his pro fumble stats, but not his college fumble stats. Okay, I'm gonna have to go diving somewhere else for that.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll talk about it. And did Estime fix the problem or not? And the reason why you and I bring up Blake Watson is not just because of his receiving ability. It's because Estime is not a 3-down player. And I think if you get a Caleb Johnson, I mean, there's your DeMarco Murray hammer. I love that idea of Caleb Johnson if there's a run on running backs, if someone jumps you for Marion Hampton. Do not think for a minute that people are going to sit on their hands with Ashton Jeanty. Well, this is a deep class. Yeah, if Hampton's as talented as Jeanty in the eyes of some, they'll jump you.
4 fumbles in college.
So he had almost as many fumbles as a rookie as he did in college.
Yes. So 4 fumbles, and we have him down here for his career at let's see, 373 rushing attempts.
Okay.
4 fumbles. So not a fumbler
right
in college, but was a fumbler last year. Sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah, and speaking of Caleb Johnson, he has 4 on 537 touches. Now that's touches, not carries, but that's your equivalent there.
That's a good rate.
Yeah.
Also a big back.
It's not alarming.
Big powerful back.
Mm-hmm. So what is he looking for in helping Bo Nix with the ground game? I've said it on air, Mace, and I believe I've said it here. I talk a lot.
No kidding.
Y'all don't know Bo. Everyone's like, Bo. You saw Bo, rookie Bo, figuring it out, Bo, with 1 target and no ground game. Imagine as they build this team, kind of the vibe you've laid out there, Mace, of like, not comfortable Sean, but like focus Sean, right there, Sean, building a team, Sean. As they do that, wait till you see Bo Nix 2.0.
Wait till you see Bo Nix with multiple targets.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till you see this offense with multiple targets. This is another thing. Like, what was it that George Payton said at the combine? What this offense looks like when it's got all these weapons, it's hell to defend.
Mm-hmm.
When it's got weaponry, and it becomes pick your poison. I mean, just go back a few years ago when the Saints had Mark Ingram still putting up big numbers, Alvin Kamara when he came into the league, and Michael Thomas putting up ungodly numbers. You couldn't stop them. Actually, the only thing that could stop the Saints was not calling pass interference when they should.
The officials on the worst non-call of all time.
Worst non-call in the history of the league.
Yeah.
I mean, a history-changing non-call.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it took to stop that offense.
Yep. Sean Payton remembers, and Pepperidge Farm remembers as well, Mace.
Yeah.
So put it together this year. Hope the refs are better, and make your run, man. Make your run. I think you could run at the AFC West. We got to see what they do in the draft. I feel incomplete in talking about this because we don't know the back yet.
Mm-hmm. We're fixing to find out. That's what, I think people are probably going to get bored with our discussion the next 3 weeks. It's sort of like last year we kept, quarterback. It's like, okay, we keep discussing all these possibilities, but we just don't know. It's sort of like you have to it's the plane circling around. We were circling, and then finally we were cleared to land, and it was talking about Bo Nix. We're just going to keep circling, talking about these running backs because one of them is going to be a Denver Bronco. And then when we know, we're going to be able to figure it out. And it's going to be more than one because whether it's a late round running back or a priority free agent, we're going to be talking about that guy too. Because as we found out 12 years ago, you can draft Monte Ball in the second round, but it might be C.J. Anderson who ends up being the star.
You can draft Royce Freeman and David Williams, and it might be Philip Lindsay that ends up being the star.
Yep. It happens. At running back, it happens more often than you realize. It's a little more unusual at quarterback. The Heath Schuler, Gus Frerotte thing of Washington in 1994. It's more unusual at quarterback. At running back, it's not terribly unusual.
We're going to be keeping an eye on it. Mace, you got to get to a party tonight. I got to get to taking my daughter to work.
Yeah, I'm not going to be partying it up that much. Cease, I have been up since 5:15 Eastern. I have been here at the media center since 6 a.m. Eastern. So I'm going on now 13 and a half hours in this place. And yes, I'm going to go say hi to a few people, have some food. I think I'm probably 1 hour and out.
And then sleepy time Mace. He's
Mace,
on top of it.
Mace is tired because the other thing is tomorrow it's the NFC coaches breakfast. I won't be getting here quite as early, but we're going to want to catch up with Kyle Shanahan to hear a little about Dre Greenlaw, Fonga. Probably even want to hear maybe a little from Brian Daboll on a certain former Bronco quarterback. Couldn't go catch up with Mike McDaniel on Zach Wilson because it was the AFC. That's the only thing you could. That's another reason why you were missed today, because you couldn't go roam around the AFC. So yeah, you were missed.
Better to be missed than, hey, glad that guy didn't come with you.
Wasn't the same without you, man.
I appreciate you. You want to talk about Damani Leach here real quick before we're out of here today? Or
yeah,
you that for tomorrow? What do you think?
Y'all know I'm a uniform nerd, of course.
You were dreaming about a certain combination today I saw on Twitter.
Yes. Well, one of the things that bummed me out last year was that you couldn't have flexibility to use the white helmets with anything other than an alternate jersey. So it came up today when all the league bigwigs were talking. So one thing we learned today is there's going to be more flexibility with alternate helmets, with alternate uniforms as well. And so so here's the other thing. You were limited to 3 games you could wear alternate uniforms, and so it was 2 for the throwback and 1 for the navy blues. That limit went up, but you're going to have even more flexibility with the alternate helmet. You can wear it with your primary uniform. Here's Damani Leach talking about that, but first also talking about just what he thought of the uniforms last year, because I asked him very just general question like, hey, 1 year in, what did you think?
I love it. It's like a child, it's my baby. Of course, I think my baby's beautiful and smart and talented and all those things. So I absolutely love the uniforms. I love the versatility of them. Definitely love the throwbacks. I don't know if you guys heard, but we just refreshed the policy, and so now we'll be able to wear alternate uniforms 4 times during the regular season. So that'll be great. More opportunity to wear the throwbacks, but also more versatility with the helmets. So as an example, we could wear our white helmets with orange on orange pants and jerseys. So things like that will just add more flexibility to the closet and hopefully be exciting for the players, but also for the fans.
I know players dug the white helmets, so I think we're going to see more of them. Like I put on social media, and I have a little thing on my computer, a Photoshop file where I can just like mix and match any combination, so you can get a look at it. And so
I wondered if that was you or like some sort of website, but that's you.
No, I was able. I kind of came up with this so I can just quickly do any combination, see what it looks like. The one I want to see is white helmets, orange jerseys, white pants, orange socks. I would have loved to have seen it in Tampa last year, sort of a nod to old Buccaneers of past time. But I think that's the one I think would probably look really sharp. Maybe maybe it's the Tampa in me. I don't know, but I think that's a look that would be pretty good. So,
well, if they have any creamsicles tonight at the party, you will be having one. So.
Well, I think it will look better with the Broncos because it wouldn't be creamsicle, it'd be the darker orange. That's another thing.
Traffic cone orange.
Yeah, not creamsicle orange, Bronco orange. Actually, I think Bronco orange was officially burnt orange for a while. So, yeah,
There you go.
Bronco. That's the key thing. Bronco orange, not creamsicle orange.
Well, please get some rest, Mace, as they're probably kicking you out at 7:30
Yeah,
at night.
I think they want me to go. I'm the last person in here. I think they're ready for me to get out of here. So,
Okay, apologize,
skedaddle.
everybody. But
Yeah,
Mace, take care of yourself before we're out of here.
Thank
How
you.
can folks help us out on YouTube?
like,
Comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell.
so that you never
Miss
vid.
it.
That's right. He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. Matt C. Salami saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty.